The early 2010s really were a renaissance for fitness because people were trying to stand out as platforms got bigger and bigger. People would make outlandish claims like, oh, you can build serious muscle just by squeezing your biceps really hard. People were always coming out with these amazing new muscle building supplements. And of course, it's all just sponsorships. Hey, here's the difference between whey and hydro whey. And while a lot of it got laughed off, a lot of it had merit. People talk shit about bro science, but the reality is, bro science is people using themselves as a test subject. Ben Greenfield is a great example of this, but granted, he's a little bit more of a scientist, but bro science was the original way to figure out what worked and what didn't. You were checking all these things out with your friends, right? If the things that you were saying had merit, you would pretty quickly rise to the top. Nobody really understood social media or viral marketing yet. They just made content and hoped that it was well received, hoped that it was good enough to get shared. Algorithms were still in their infancy. I mean, the biggest YouTube hack out there was basically just, hey, post every single day, which is still fairly true. Nobody purported perfection or expertise because they would get shredded by the community as quickly as they might be praised. I look back on these days very fondly because before YouTube, the only way that you could get good health and fitness information, good, I'll say that in air quotes, was magazines or daytime television. And don't get me wrong, these things did have a barrier to entry, but that barrier was really only as much as they were charging to put someone on. If you had money, if you could market well, you could get on these shows, you could get on these magazines, and you could sell whatever you had. Get big on the show, rinse, repeat. Now, of course, we're living in the inverse. There's no barrier. With the ease of posting through TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, even YouTube and podcasts, the irony is not lost in me saying this. Your information doesn't always need to be correct. It doesn't need to be good or meaningful or well thought out. I mean, look at all of these. I'm not even going to be able to get all of them, but I mean, the #1 fitness tracker, the worst back workout, you need supplements, the worst pre-workout. And don't get me wrong, I've done a few of these things, but it goes on and on and on. And what gets even crazier with this kind of content, the content that speaks in absolutes, is that these people will contradict themselves just a few videos later. The consistency is irrelevant now. The quality of the information doesn't matter. In fact, I'd say the shorter and the more extravagant or inflammatory the information is, the better, the more shareability it has, right? You just need to have the right charismatic, influential person with a decent face, decent physique, and you can spread pretty much whatever kind of information you want en masse just by mentioning it. For some reason, there's just this implicit trust in creators that I don't understand. That's not to say that these problems didn't exist at one point in time. I mean, God, remember back in 2012, Coney 2012? Remember when Oprah went on TV and said MDMA puts holes in your brain? Remember when Dr. Oz said green coffee bean extract could make you lose weight with no diet and no exercise? I mean, Dr. Oz and all these miracle supplements are probably an episode all on their own, but all those things kind of just made their mark and then went unchallenged, despite being completely false. And then they just disappeared or became such a, well, everybody knows that kind of piece of information in the zeitgeist that it just became common sense and people stopped discussing it. For some reason, fitness resisted this trend just slightly longer than everybody else. And I don't know why that is, but I think it's because of the nature of fitness. What it truly is, down at its core, is people wanting to improve themselves and wanting to help others. Health and fitness is the gold rush that you want to tell everyone about. Once you start feeling the benefits, once you start feeling better, looking better, I mean, God, why wouldn't you tell everybody? Why wouldn't you want to help everybody? I mean, go up to the biggest, buffest person at the gym, ask them for advice, and I will nearly guarantee they will not only help you out, they might interrupt their own workout because they're going to be so excited that somebody else is taking interest in the thing that they love. Maybe it resisted this trend for a slightly less altruistic reason. Maybe it's because fitness professionals didn't know how to monetize online back then, with the exception of Lane Norton. I love you, Lane. One thing is for sure, though. This content at the time existed to teach. It was there to help people. And it wasn't churned out at such a rate that you barely remembered what you watched yesterday. It is a decade later, and I still remember full Elliot Hulse Strength Camp YouTube videos in detail. Maybe it was the imprint on my brand new gym dude mind or something like that, or maybe it was the novelty, but either way, I believe those times have passed. The new function of content is this: to be consumed or to create controversy to get comments. Hey guys, thanks for watching that episode. If you got some value out of that, please give me a little subscribe somewhere in there, whether that is on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening right now. And you can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, pretty much everywhere, honestly, at AndrewPFM. So yeah, guys, until next time, we'll see y'all later.